What an incredible week for reveals. I mean, San Diego Comic-Con, it's like the pop culture weekend, or actually more like a pop culture week extravaganza of the year. Yes, it's a hot summer in most parts of the globe, but everyone just gets amped up and excited for everything that happens. You got everything from crowd funds to, oh my goodness, reveal after reveal. I just keep going on about it. G.I. Joe Classified is what we're here to talk about today, but a lot of people over the last few days talk about everything from Super 7 to NECA to the HasLab Ghost that just came out, the Dragonfly that just funded a few days ago. Actually, I shouldn't say just funded, hit all stretch goals a few days ago. And there's just a lot to talk about, and it was actually very difficult to keep up with all the reveals. Now, between all the websites, all the Instagram accounts, thanks to all of those folks, I was able to cobble together what I think is a complete, if not relatively complete, list of stuff. Now, I know it's a busy night, and I was thinking about doing the stream this morning, but I just couldn't get myself up to do it at the usual time. And then now, right now, I mean, Jim Largo made a comment in the chat there that he's got hella dope toys to stream to go on, and a few people are still coming over from Mega J's stream, which I was actually just on literally minutes before this. And I know Geek Dad Life's normally on, but Jay, the other Jay, is at San Diego Comic-Con right now, probably traveling back. So, look, as far as G.I. Joe Classified is concerned, like, I was trying to download the photos to look at the reveals that have shown up. And this is just, again, over the last few days. Some of them we knew, some of them we got renders before, and then now we're getting actual pre-order dates. Some of them were name only that we got renders for, and then we got some more name only reveals here. I mean, who can really keep up? And I said I wasn't going to cave on G.I. Joe Classified sub teams, or I said I hadn't caved yet, but we all knew it was inevitable. And I went to Toy Traders with my son earlier on, so here's Marauders Barbecue to kick off my what do you call it, love of G.I. Joe Classified sub teams. I knew after meeting the Sergeant person last month, if there was one sub team I was going to cave on first, it was going to be Marauders, just because there will probably be a Slaughter's Marauders figure, and I'll probably end up getting that. In fact, I will end up getting that. I would have made an exception for that even if I didn't have any sub team figures yet. Now, on that note of the sub teams, obviously there were a few Night Force figures included with the Dragonfly, namely the Ripcord figure as well as the Crazy Legs figure. So maybe you could say I caved on sub teams already because I paid for that, even though it hasn't come in. This one's right there. I'm really splitting hairs at this point in time. Those of you who are able to join tonight, thanks a lot. I know this was impromptu. I announced it maybe an hour ago that I was going to be on. And of course, everyone else is doing a Comic-Con wrap-up week, and I told myself I don't have to go on this week. You know, you can take a week off. It's okay. It's okay. Because a lot of what I do for Toy Connections is less on live streams and more on just the pre-produced content anyway. But I was like, no, I really want to talk about this stuff, so I'm going to. Now, for name-only reveals, I believe we got Jinx. We got Torch, who was the last of the Dreadnoks, or at least of those 3 Dreadnoks, who we haven't seen yet because we got digital renders of the other 2. We already have Zartan, and we're just talking about the first few Dreadnoks. I know there's Zarana. I know there's a lot of others that we have not heard about whether we're going to get them or not. Like, I don't think anyone's mentioned Nagahide yet, but I know there's a lot of Dreadnok love out there. Let's put it that way. Now, who else? Retro Duke and Retro Scarlett have also been announced. And yes, now that, Glenda's coming with the Dragonfly, clearly that's the style they're going to go with for Scarlett. So other than that, I've got a bunch of photos to show up, and I'll provide credit as we go along. So let's just see who happened to make it in the chat for this particular stream. Jim Largo sends his condolences, but says he will catch the replay. We've got PopoLoco.com. I got Robert Monty from the channel Patreon and channel membership. We've got Jeff Morris over here, Ratface44 Reviews, who I think just did his Cobra Convergence video, because Cobra Convergence is still going on for another week or so. So check his channel out. We've got Wilhelm Toy and Hobby. We just finished a collaboration that's going to be out in the next couple of months. We got Woodman29. I believe Woodman actually was one of the people who kicked off Cobra Convergence. And we got Andrew Davis here saying, blah, blah, got you jumping over here on streams. Yeah, I figured once you finished over on Mega J stream that you'd hop on over here for a quick hello. Andrew. And Gaz has joined as well. Good to hear from you. So look, there's a lot in the world of G.I. Joe Classified right now to discuss. And I'm just going to start sharing screens at this point in time and just oh god, what screen do I even share? Oh, there we go. Okay, couldn't even find the right tab to actually properly even share screens here. So I'm just gonna go back to freaking Google Chrome here and come on. Okay, here we are. All right, we're good. Okay, so apparently this is not apparently, it is already up on Pulse. And this is obviously the Hiss Fire team that just went up at the same time as Tripwire, who we'll talk to in a bit. Now, all the photos that I grabbed were from ToyHabits.com's website. I was actually just talking to the Toy Sorceress on Mega J stream, literal, minutes before this stream started. And I also, I know some of these came from Tony from the Hasbro team. I think he goes by the Great Tony Tino or the Great Tonino on Instagram. Chaz the Guru put up some stuff. Surveillance Port put up some photos. So it'll be a combination of photos from these people that I managed to grab photos from. So this is the Hiss Fire team, and it looks really good, and it does build a bit on that FOMO of not getting the Hiss, because here you've got a Range Viper, an officer, and a regular trooper. And getting this trio, it's in the Hiss colors. The one thing I will say, though, is that with the Hiss, when you get the Hiss, you'll have the driver, you'll have the tactician, and you'll have the, I think it's the gunner that they call the, because there's the female one there, and then you've got the retro Cobra Commander with the what do you call it? With the Mickey Mouse ears. That one's obviously not Hiss specific, but you've already got 3 characters / figures with the Hiss, and you've got this Hiss Fire team. So I'm kind of just wondering, how many figures do you need for a Hiss? If somebody can enlighten me to the canon around that, let me know. But having said that, these still look great, and these still add to the FOMO of the Hiss. So, there's that. So I haven't pre-ordered this yet. And I'm not sure if I will. We'll see, because I don't look at these as strictly mandatory, but then again, I say that sometimes and then I go ahead and buy it anyway. So again, a lot of excitement around the Hiss tank because it's coming out, and a little bit of FOMO going on with this. I'm quite happy with it. Like seeing it and seeing them build off of the Hiss theme. But again, like, do you need a fleet of Hiss tanks for this to kind of make sense? Or can you kind of have all these characters and the ones with the Hiss displayed with the Hiss tank? Before I move on to Tripwire, I'll just say hi to a few more people over here. Jarhead, yes, I saw your comment there in the on my community tab, as well as Phil from Treasures for Trigger. Always good to hear from you, my friend. And Smoked Ham has joined us in the chat as well. Yeah, I see people are filing in as they get the notification. Now, that's the story with regards to the Hiss. As far as Tripwire is concerned, this is just obviously a photo of the box. This is one that I posted on Instagram about, and one of the things that's kind of getting me with Tripwire is the fact that I went and made a Gridiron / Action Force kit bash, and I used a G.I. Joe classified flint head to put underneath the mask. And oh yeah, I also meant to mention Chuckles, Jarhead. Maybe I'll get to that after I talk about Tripwire a little bit here. This does look good. It's going to come into deluxe packaging, but I think it looks good. I don't think it looks great. And I think the proportions are, I mean, I don't like his gear is a little bit wider than what I envisioned for Tripwire. And I kind of feel like I could pass on this, but do I want to pass on it? Right? Just because, like I said, I have the Gridiron / Action Force kit bash with the flint head underneath the mask. And if I wanted to find a reason to save money, I could by just simply not getting this. But at the same time, could I get this and then repurpose my other figure? I don't know, right? Like, you could get a darker colored buck and take that Gridiron gear and throw it onto something else and make it a Night Force Tripwire. See, I'm already talking myself into it, or a Desert Tripwire, or an Arctic Tripwire, or whatever, right? If you got another buck to put it on, right? So I'm not sure. Like, let me know in the chat what you think. Like, we see some some comments here, like, you know, this was this came in when people were when I was talking about the Hiss team. They look good. Do they need them? Not necessarily. So that's, I mean, that's kind of how I feel a little bit about that. As for Tripwire, this is how I feel again. It looks good, doesn't necessarily look great to me. Do I absolutely have to have it? No. Is it a nice to have? Yeah, I'd have to repurpose my other Tripwire, like I said, and then it's more fun spent for something I may or may not absolutely need, right? Yeah, see, everyone else is telling me it looks amazing. I just think it looks good. I don't think it looks absolutely fantastic. So there's that. And on the note of Chuckles, because I want to touch on what Jarhead said there. Yeah, much thanks to Kayla Silva, and check out her and Johnny's Geek the FL channel if you already haven't. I think they stream live every Monday. She actually, I don't think she's a G.I. Joe classified collector, so she just passed on her code to me. And I went and ordered one for myself as well as Steve from Delta 17, because you're allowed to get 2 per order. And I don't always see Steve in person, but a couple times a year I see him in person. And yeah, this is the managed to get Chuckles for him and me. Now it's a bit expensive. Like after shipping, it did come out to 85 Canadian, just because shipping's not cheap. And it would have been more if I hadn't ordered 2. But it basically, I mean, 85 Canadian is what, just over 60 US. So I mean, it's not cheap for what it is. But I'm happy to get Chuckles. It's got the alternate head there. I'll probably keep just the regular looking head on there, and that's hilarious. Johnny literally just popped in just as I mentioned Geek the FL. Yes, give Johnny and Kayla a follow. Kayla managed to get me the Chuckles figure, or the Chuckles code, I should say. So yeah. Robert Monty says Tripwire was his first G.I. Joe he got as a kid, so I was happy to get one that's this one not too bulky, as the gear makes sense. You know what? Now that you say it, thematically, for what type of gear he has, I'm now starting to question, is this too bulky, or was the old O-ring figure too skinny? See, I got used to the old O-ring figure, and now I've talked myself into this. Okay, see? Now this went up on Pulse. I wonder if some of the Canadian retailers will get them, like maybe GameStop will get it, and maybe I'll end up wanting it. I don't know. Hello to you, Jeff Butler. Thank you for joining as well. So moving along a little bit here, I've talked a bit about Chuckles already. I didn't take the action shots for some of these. I just took some of the generic shots with the white background, because I think they're just as good. But with regards to the steel core, I believe this goes up for order tomorrow. So it'll be definitely one that I want to get. And man, like, hot on the heels of getting a Dragonfly, hot on the heels of getting Chuckles, now this has got to come up. And this to me is a mandatory buy. I had a Steel Brigade as a kid. I still have Steel Brigade stuff now. Yes, the name has changed to Steel Corps, obviously, because, you know, the Action Force one is called Steel Brigade. But with this having both the male and the female buck, to me, I just love what this adds to the G.I. Joe classified collection that you could potentially have. The backpacks look good, like the jump style backpacks look good. The alternate, I probably won't display the alternate heads, but I know some people probably will get 2 sets and then put the alternate heads on them and have them decked out differently, like just because you've got different weapon options there. Damn. See, now I may have just talked myself into that as well. Just as we're sitting here chatting about this. So again, correct me if I'm wrong. And yes, hello Palpatine and hello Black Genghis. I think KJ, you were the one who said that they go up for order tomorrow. I know a few people have said that, but it might have been your account that I was reading. So yeah, this figure is full circle. Like I mailed away for one as a kid. I think I mailed away closer to 89, not 87. Or was it 88 that I mailed away for it? So anyway, either way, I was able to get one as a kid. So this to me is something that I must have in my mind. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know how many sets you think you're going to be getting. For me, I'll probably get 1 set and see how I feel after. Obviously, I made the video about the steel core version of Grunt. And to me, once I get them all decked out, like I got 2 Grunts, one to be Grunt, one to be a steel core version of him. or just the regular steel core alternate look as it is, so you can build the different steel core looks. Like, I think they're probably going to do this character in different colors. Like we were just talking about Marauder. I could see them doing a Marauders version of this. I could see them doing a Tiger Force version of it, just like Red Laser's Army or Black Major had done back in the day. So yeah, I mean, Robert's going to pick up two. Probably two different sets of this. Oh yeah, there it is, 10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. So yeah, I guess I'll be placing this order sometime tomorrow. So hopefully it goes up everywhere, so I can order it from a Canadian site rather than ordering it from Pulse as far as being exclusive. And yeah, I know, I'm aware you have a lot of Steel Brigades already, so you'll be passing on the Steel Core. You know, it makes sense for some folks. Yeah, that makes sense, KJ. Getting some unmasked versions by just using some extra Marvel Legends heads. So just moving along. So that's the discussion on Steel Core. Now this one, I don't know about the rest of you, but to me, this came completely out of left field. We've heard it's not going to be a HasLab. Word on the street from multiple sources. I think Chris from Full Force Podcast may have mentioned this as well, that it's going to be around $100. And for a vehicle and a figure, I think that's about par for the course, right? Because Serpentor was 90, and this looks like it's a bigger figure. I mean, it'll be decked out with less accessories compared to Serpentor, but this was a bit of a shocker for me. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw this, and Clutch is another fan favorite, is another OG 13 character, and having a Vamp in the collection, just, I mean, it's a Vamp. When I look at this, and I know a Dragonfly is coming, it's like you're getting that original, like, vehicles you could put on the original 83 HQ, right? Because you could fit the Vamp and you could fit the Mobat in the 83 HQ, and of course, the Dragonfly was often the thing that they put on the helipad. So to me, it makes sense that this is what, that getting this as well as part of the original, as part of the OG group is concerned. Now, does this make me wish I bought a Hiss? In a way, yes. In a way, no. It means I've saved room, but at the same time, if I'm going to go in on vehicles, go on in vehicles. Nope. His Mega J stream ended. I'm seeing some names here that that were coming over from that stream. Hello, Cobweb Collector, and hello, one of my recent patrons, Allison Troy. Goodness. And yeah, Vamp and Clutch are mandatory for any G.I. Joe collector to have. He also has a vintage version. Yeah, I can't wait to get this in hand. I actually don't have my vintage Vamp anymore. I wish I did, because it would look good on my 83 HQ. Obviously, I kept Clutch. Yeah. And yeah, a lot of us are, that's another thing, the repurposes, right? Like, this tells me that, you know, you can get a Stinger, you can get a Tiger Sting, you can get a Vamp Mark II, you could even get the Fun School rescue set version of the Vamp, and Fun School anything of this, right? And I think there were a bunch of modern recolors as well. So yeah, hello, Michael Lennon, you joined the chat as well. Wow, 47 people in the chat. A lot of people, given that both Hella Dope Toys and Mega J are both on right now. So yeah, I guess we're all kind of splitting the would have been Geek Dad Life audience that would have been on at this point in time. I've always said if I can get even a portion of that audience, it's great to see. So that's the discussion there. I mean, did anybody else see that the Vamp was coming and that it was going to be released? Because for me, it came completely out of left field, right? And yeah, it's important to see that that this stays at around $100, possibly lower. Yeah, regardless of cost reduction. No, I completely agree with that statement. And just for optics as well. So, I mean, I only have just about an hour. Hello, Eric Thompson. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, it was okay. It was a complete surprise, not just for me, but for others as well. So I've only got about an hour on here. Then I got to take my son out for dinner. It's just me and him today. He's downstairs watching TV while his mom is at a class for the whole day. So this one is an interesting one, because I'll talk about the figure first. Oh, hey man. It says, hey man. I say, hey man, back. I always recognize your name, Hedgehog Action, because my son's favorite toy is literally a stuffed hedgehog from Purdy. So the first time you started commenting on my channel, I showed your comment to him and my wife, and I think that was already over a year ago. So like, your name's already like legendary for me. Oh, Emerald Knight is here as well. Thank you, Mr. Channel member with some great photography as well. Always good to hear from you, John. I know we haven't talked in a while, John, but just trust that I still love your photography, and yeah. Hello, Take Two, for joining the chat as well. So I didn't read your comment before I pulled that up. I'm not sure about that, actually. I'm not sure. I don't know what to say about that. But a lot of people, I did see that comment in Facebook in some places. So maybe it's true. Not sure what to say about that. Pare, good to see you. Rai Rai Ken, greeting me in Tagalog as usual. So yeah, this Techno-Viper, I know we're going with the red and gray scheme to match the SMS look and possibly the hiss look more so than the traditional purple. It works for the purpose of this, but this also tells me they're likely going to do a traditional Techno-Viper color. This SMS, like this, I think this trailer didn't originally come with the hiss, right? It came with the Sears SMS version of the hiss. And I think that's what they're playing off of. And maybe they're angling towards releasing a hiss just in the red SMS color. Like, I could honestly see them releasing the hiss tank as just the hiss tank and making it a Pulse exclusive and no extra figures. Maybe not even any electronics, just to make the price a little bit lower. And yeah, so to me, this thing with the three large red missiles, that to me is what screams out Sears SMS, the exclusive Sears SMS. So to me, I'm not sure how to feel about this. I might rather just wait and hold out for the purple version of the Techno-Viper, how and whenever it comes out. So this is the one I'm not sure what to feel about it. Right? When I heard a Techno-Viper had been announced and I hadn't seen the photo, I was like, oh, it must have. Then I saw this and I was like, must have or nice to have. I started to question, but let me know what you think in the chat as well. Moving along here. So this is, I just got the regular Copperhead recently, as I know a lot of you did. I haven't jumped in on Python Patrol yet. So this particular Python Patrol Copperhead, you knew it was coming. And obviously they veered away just from the usual main 6 Python Patrol characters and have also done things like added a bat. They're going to add a few other characters in, most likely, that are Python Patrol themed. This one I haven't decided to get yet. I probably won't, but like I said, it's one of those things where I say I won't jump in on sub teams and then I do. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one, but it's just seeing it as one of the reveals for the good chunk of the audience that does want to get Python Patrol. I'm very happy for them and I'm very happy to see it. And I'm very happy to have it as an option. But the one that I am a bit more excited for is the one that came after this. And of course, we still got to answer questions about a water moccasin for Copperhead, just for the regular release, if not for this one. Is this one. This was my favorite of the original Python Patrol. The officer, I just love this deco, this color pattern. This is an amazing look in my mind. So if I was going to cave on Python Patrol, if there was going to be a gateway entry for me, it was always going to be this, if you ask me. Again, just as far as the vintage 89 line of Python Patrol is concerned, this was my favorite. I just don't have, I don't know if I'll have the willpower to not buy this one when I see it. But when I do, I don't think it's going to be a pre-order. Like, I'll probably talk myself out of the pre-order. It's if I happen to walk by it in a store or see it at a toy show that I'm going to, that I'm gonna just cave and want it. And yes, that's basically what I was getting at there. They may re-release the Red Hiss tank there, J Toygo. That does make sense. And yeah, passing on all the Python Patrol, I've done the same thing. And I actually can't remember what the 25th one looks like. So yeah. Sorry, my son's stamping his feet downstairs, and I just wonder what's got him all excited right now. Anyway, not sure if you could hear that, but that's why I kind of stopped for a little bit. Now, here's where things get even more interesting, is the addition of Dreadnoks. Like, I've talked a little bit about Torch already as a name-only reveal, and now here we are with Buzzer, and eventually Ripper as well. Man, the original 3 Dreadnoks that came after Zartan: Torch, Buzzer, and Ripper. And obviously Monkey Wrench is likely to come after. So, man. Yeah, we're all excited for all the new reveals. I mean, excitement is part of it. The other thing is, which ones are you going to get? Which ones are you not going to get? Now, Buzzer to me was mandatory, and it's one of those, when you get one, you get 3, right? You don't get just Buzzer or just Torch or just Ripper, at least in my mind. To me, they come as a trio, and I actually wondered whether they'd release them as a 3-pack. But given that they didn't do the Crimson Twins as a 2-pack, this makes sense to not do as a 3-pack. So just the way the Dreadnoks, how much presence they had in the cartoon, and just how dominant they were. And like even the Worlds Without End episode, where they showed up as cops in that one in that 2-parter episode, that is, you know, that kind of just adds to it, right? Are they going to do variants of that going forward, right? Buzzer is just like, I don't know, like just like the rest of the Dreadnoks, just being a mercenary gang that Cobra could hire, has just always been something of a novelty, right? And they were a little bit different than the usual like Destros and Major Bloods of the world. Like they were their own thing. They were literally a gang, right? And along with Buzzer, obviously comes Ripper. Like when you talk about one, you're probably going to talk about the other and Torch all at the same time. So, and once again, I'll just mention, I did gank these off of toyhabits.com, who had sourced their photos from a bunch of other people, such as Tony from Hasbro, Surveillance Port, Chaz, I think a few others. And there's many others who I probably am not properly citing. But yeah, as far as the Dreadnoks are concerned, it just becomes a case of, you've got a Zartan in your collection, or at least a lot of us do. Now you start to decorate that. Now you start to kind of fill the gaps around Zartan with the Dreadnoks that are coming out. What that tells us is that G.I. Joe Classified, and even more so with the releases today, or this weekend, just over the past few days. I always say weekend because I always just assume that conventions are a weekend thing, that there may be Friday to Sunday. But when it comes to San Diego Comic-Con, there's a Thursday added as well, because it's just so big, and there's a preview night on the Wednesday. So I always say, I always act like it's a I always act like it's a weekend even when it's not. But like, this tells us the G.I. Joe Classified is on a massive upwards trajectory, and it tells us that it's here to stay. And are they releasing too fast? Maybe, maybe not, because you got to bear in mind that G.I. Joe Real American Hero lasted for 12 years, and they're not doing the size of the waves that are coming. Yes, like you're getting a ton of reveals, but the size of the waves that are coming out, is there as many as we were getting back on the O-Ring? Back during the O-Ring days? I'm not sure that we're getting as big a wave every single year all in one drop. It feels like a lot now for us because we're all collecting so many other lines. But I think that even if they go at the pace they're going, this line's still going to go for several more years. Right? And there's so many more deep cut characters you could add. Like we're going to get the Agent Helix a little bit later on, who I was actually planning to do a bit of research about before the stream started, but then I jumped on Mega J's stream and I completely forgot. So, you know, I've said all I want to say about the Dreadnoks, other than the fact that, yeah, when people in the chat are saying Zanzibar, Nagahide, Xandar, all that, Road Pig likely. Now here's one that, you know, while I didn't necessarily consider this an essential character-wise, the overall look, the SWAT look, the riot shield just is amazing, right? Like this just screams cool character while still being something from our childhood. So how do you not love Shockwave? And I always wondered with the whole trademark recycling thing, because Hasbro had used the name Shockwave in 1985 with the G1 character. Did they make this character in 88, Shockwave, just to keep the trademark going? I'm not really sure, because you got to bear in mind they reused some trademarks in Cops as well, right? So like, do they have to release a character with the same name every few years? Because you got to bear in mind they lost the Shockwave name for a number of years as well, and when they would release a Transformer Shockwave, they'd call him Shock Blast, right? And then in Japan and Takara, they released they released the character as Laser Wave, right? See, everyone's absolutely loving it. See, there we go. Look at this. Tons of love for Shockwave. Gaz, this is the one you and I were talking about late last night. I was literally going on my way to bed, but I was watching some episodes of The Pacific, which was the series everyone told me to watch after finishing Band of Brothers. And I saw Gaz was still online. I saw the green icon next to his name, and I'm like, I gotta show you this. And we started talking about it, right? So to me, this is just one of those characters that's just gonna look really, really cool on your shelf, even if you're not a G.I. Joe Classified fan, right? So I don't know what else to say other than the fact he just looks amazing. And yeah, I mean, look, we got the regular verse before getting the Night Force version, and you're going to see a combination of that, right? Like a lot of times they are going to give you the sub team version first, right? I say it all the time, and I'm going to say it again. A lot of times for my Transformers figures, they give us the design, the deco that we want less versus the one we want more, and then they milk us for more. I'm not going to say I like it. I'm just going to say that I got used to it with the other lines I was collecting. I don't encourage them to do that, but I also have kind of resigned to the fact that it's a bit futile. But yeah, like look at the reactions to the chat. Everyone's here. And yes, JLS and Badger, I don't know if I've said hi to you two yet, but I know you've been in the chat. Oh no, howdy folks means you probably just got here. Yeah, JLS Comics, I do want to say that I'm doing a Joe Colton video soon, and your old Joe Colton video came in handy to me, so I'm glad I got to thank you before that video comes out. So yeah, and I remember you saying that Shockwave was either your number one or close to your number one set of guys, right? So yeah, yeah, the Shockmaster. Regarding Band of Brothers in the Pacific, coming soon as a mini-series on the World War. Yes, I heard that there was a follow-up to Band of Brothers coming up. Not sure if that's what you're referring to, Jeff Butler, but I've been tempted to like take some Marauders Gunrunner parts and put them together and see if I can make like a Band of Brothers type of look. I'm not even done the Pacific yet. I'm just done the 8th episode. I've just started the 9th episode, but I'll be finishing that over the next number of days here. So yeah, look, and yeah, like I said, JL, sorry, I was trying to unclick Jeff's comment and yours came up and I clicked on it by accident. But yes, I've already finished a video with a Toy Domination that premieres this Friday that talks about Joe Colton and how he harkens back to being the first ever G.I. Joe, being the original action soldier. So yeah, I did check out your old video as well as Hooded Cobra Commanders before putting mine together. So this Agent Helix. Now, I did mean to do a little bit more research because I know she appeared in the IDW comics, and I believe she got a modern 4-inch figure as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But she's one that I've been meaning to look into a little bit because it's a bit of a deep cut character. And this is what I mean by about stretching the length of the line. Oh, my goodness. I just realized, Jay Toygo, you were next to me the entire weekend at Joe Fest. And I probably gave you a card with my name. That's probably how you... Yes. I bought your last set of ketchup and mustard before I left. That was the last transaction I did. Thank you very much. Wow. Okay, cool. Everything just came full circle there. I literally sat next to you for the entirety of 3 days. Even moved your stand of classified figures to make room for some of our posters. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yes. So anyway, as far as Agent Helix is concerned, I did mean to do a bit more research on this. I don't mean to sound so uneducated coming into this, but I do know she has an IDW history, and I believe she had a 4-inch figure as well. This is going to be one of those maybe type of characters because I did order Shooter during the Walmart Collector Con just because Shooter harkens back to the original 13/14 when you look at the first issues of Marvel. Those are some of the issues I have read, even though I didn't get very deep into the Marvel run of comics. I was mostly a Devil's Due comic run type of person. But Helix is another one of those, what do you call it, deep cut type characters that I'm just looking to do a bit more research on before I talk myself into potentially buying her. So yeah, and yes, that's the one I heard of as well. I heard of Masters of the Air. That's the one. I'm just not sure whether it's produced and directed by the same people or not. But I do know that it's been considered a sequel to Band of Brothers. Okay, so we get into the one that I was most excited for. I was just asked, Toy Sorceress just asked me on Mega J stream, which figure am I most excited for? And it is indeed General Hawk. Obviously, Shockwave, I'm excited for. Obviously, Clutch, I'm excited for. But to me, Shockwave is a cool looking character. General Hawk is a must-have because of what he means to the G.I. Joe lore, right? So this is number one for me. When it goes for pre-order, this is the one I'm going to look forward to the most. So yeah, what else can we say other than the leader of G.I. Joe, right? Generally speaking, he's the highest ranking Joe. I just mentioned Joe Colton, so depending on which canon you follow, if Joe Colton is around, then that's your most high-ranking Joe. This version of Hawk is the 1-star or Brigadier General version. He does become a Major General during the time of the Deke series, and that's why the Talking Commanders, Battle Commanders, Hawk is a 2-star General, Major General. And in the Devil's Due run, he is actually shown as a 3-star General or a Lieutenant General. I'm not sure if other canons have him as ranking that high. I do want to comment on this, Ryan Daly. Why does he remind you of Major Winters? Because obviously the Winters character is amazing. And that's a character that if a third-party company, Ramen Toy, was to do a G.I. Joe classified Major Winters, I'd probably throw him into my classified line, just, or at least display him with the classified line just due to the military theme. Anyway, Hawk was a 3-star general during the Devil's Due comic run, and Joe Colton in most canons is a 4-star general. So yeah, I mean, just going over the ranks there, and obviously General Flegg is a 1-star general. But this is the version of Hawk that most of us remember. Like, I associate my memories of Hawk with this more than I associate with the Colonel Hawk that was the 1982/83 release. So absolutely wonderful to see this version of General Hawk. I don't even want to change the screen here just because there's so much to say about this particular character. And just so you know, like, I'm not breaking any news on this stream. I often say that I'm not a news channel. That's what I leave my friends like Mega J, like Toy Habits, like Geek Dad Life to go do, is stream and do the, what do you call it? Break the news that way. I mostly pride myself on being something of a history channel. Oh, Skyfall, I see you've seen Band of Brothers as well. Hawk must have, just looks perfect. Yeah, he does. Hopefully the real figure looks just as good as the digital render here, but I'm not breaking any news here. I'm literally just giving the Toy Connection set of reactions and pulling up selective chat just when something catches my eye, because obviously I'm looking between the screen and the chat, so I might even miss a good comment. So this is just me saying I want to get my 2 cents in about San Diego Comic-Con. Like, this isn't my usual bread and butter type of stream because I'm not usually a reactions type of person. That's usually why I go on other people's channels to do it, but I couldn't help myself this time. I wanted to do an organized, like my sort of curated, I shouldn't say organized, all those streams are organized, but I wanted to do something that was curated at my pace. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, Jarhead, I appreciate you mentioning the history stuff. I mean, I just finished history of LJN wrestling 1986 recently, and that video has just picked up some more traction today. My LJN videos, for some reason, the first 48 hours they tend to underperform, and then they start to take off after that as they get shown to more audiences. It just seems like that the wrestling algorithm of fans, YouTube tends to recognize them differently than the toy people, but that's, I don't want to go on too much about analytics here. My friends already hear enough of that. Yeah, so I don't know, this is the character that I look forward to the most and just need to absolutely have. Moving on just a little bit here. Oh, what am I doing here? Oh, I goofed. I meant to grab the Crimson team, and I did not grab the Crimson Strike team. So let me do something else. Let me jump towards Mutt first. Oh, did I? Yeah, I completely gaffed and did not grab the Crimson Attack team. So let me grab the image of the Crimson Attack team while you're all looking at at Mutt. Let me just look it up here. Classified Crimson Strike team. I saved General Hawk's image twice rather than grabbing the image of the Crimson Attack team. Here, here's Toy Habits' website. So I'm just getting this ready in the background. Obviously, what I was going to talk about was the three pack of Baroness and the Crimson Guardsman Tomax and Zaymot there. And why is my website slow? Why is the website slow on loading right now? Anyway, I'll fire that up in a little bit. So this image, I think, did Surveillance Port put this one up? I can't remember. But Mutt and Junkyard came as a bit of a surprise, right? Like, I'm not sure if this is a paint master or a final production shot. And there's a big difference there, right? Because a paint master is just meant to tell the factory what the colors are going to look like. If this is a final production sample, then that tells us a lot closer and that it's already tooled up. I wasn't sure. Toy Sorceress said that she thought this was a paint master. While it certainly does look very good, I'm also a little bit unsure because I don't think a lot of paint masters don't pose that nicely, right? And this one, maybe it's pre-posed, and maybe that's why it does look this good in an action shot. Sorry, I'm literally just trying to scroll off screen for the Crimson Strike team, for the Crimson 3-pack. I just can't seem to find the image here on Toy Habits' site. Sorcerer is totally going to laugh at me when she says it's wrist. My browser is just doing some funny things at this point in time. I'm just going to do a find and search. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to confirm that it was the PulseCon exclusive. So anyway, just with regards to Mutt and Junkyard here, look, I literally I think it's a production sample, but again, it could be a paint master. This is a surprise, right? Obviously, they're getting more confident in the line, so they're releasing more of these deluxe or animal package type of thing, kind of like with Scrap Iron. His drone was considered an animal. Snake Eyes, obviously, with Timber. This one, we've been told and we've seen, is going to come with both a angry head for Mutt as well as a smiling puppy dog happy face for Mutt. So that's, again, this to me is another must-have because of the cartoon. The helmet looks really good. There's potential for a Marauders, Slaughter's Marauders or Mad Marauders release of this character. I just think that there's just so much they can do now with this line, and there's extra potential for this character. Like, you will get at least one more reusage out of this character. Obviously the buck, just the general standard figure, they can reuse a bunch of times, even if they don't necessarily reuse the helmet or the head sculpt. But to me, Mutt and Junkyard is up there very close to what General Hawk is as far as must-have releases is concerned. So I heard no talk about Mutt and Junkyard. Maybe he was a name-only reveal who suddenly showed up, but the fact that they actually showed an actual figure of this at San Diego Comic-Con shows they've made huge steps. It shows the confidence in the team. It shows the upward momentum. It basically tells us G.I. Joe, a real American hero, is back in a big way. And it already was, but this is an even bigger stamp on the industry than they already had. Like they grab an even bigger foothold than they already did. And sorry, I'm just getting myself reoriented around here. What I like about it is G.I. Joe felt dead for a number of years. But the good thing is, with it being an internal brand, with it not being something that's licensed through a Disney, right? They don't want to give up on it. They want it to keep going. They want their core brands that brought them to the table to succeed, right? And that's why they've always been so fixated on releasing Transformer stuff, regardless of whether there's a movie. You still see Transformer stuff. G.I. Joe's gotten there, or at least is getting there. And hopefully we see a Netflix type cartoon, kind of like what we had for Transformers War for Cybertron, kind of like what He-Man and the Masters of the Universe has done with both the Revelations cartoon as well as the CGI cartoon. So yeah. So the last thing I wanted to show as I reorient screens around it, you notice I don't share screens as much as other people do. I am often somebody who flashes up one image to talk, and then I just kind of let the panel do the discussion. Like, I rarely come on by myself. Like, I just got to learn how to do that more often. And as you can see, I've got no shortage of words or talking. If anything, I just need a bathroom break here and there. But this is a shorter stream, so I probably won't need one. But yeah, so let me just share. Let me just share the image of what toy habits. And why has the screen jumped on me again? The screen has jumped on me. Come on. Come on. There we go. Crimson Strike Team. There we go. Hopefully you can all see that now. Let me know if it comes up properly. Right. Thank you, Toy Habits, for having this ready. Let me share screens properly first. Okay, so this was the image that I was trying to pull up, and I saved 2 of General Hawk by accident rather than sharing this one. You can tell I'm a pretty big fan of General Hawk. What, is it still not added to stream? Hello. Yeah, there it is. That was a long delay before I could get this on the stream. Longer delay than usual. I think too many of my CPU resources are being used up. This trio of figures has a lot of people excited. This particular one I don't plan to get, but I just saw the JoeCon versions of these. Like, there was a 2002 JoeCon set that had these and a bunch of troopers. That set is really expensive right now. Toy Traders was asking $1,000 Canadian. Was it 1,000 or was it more? Was it 1,100 Canadian they were asking on it? It's a really expensive convention set. It's over 20 years old now. Very hard to get. But this was the inspiration for this 3-pack. If people are curious about why they have this. So yeah, I mean, Andrew Davis says, give me 2 of everything. Well, maybe you want 2 of these as well. Right? Hello, is your comment on the screen? Wow, my computer's slowed down quite a bit right now. So that's the inspiration for this. I think this is a natural progression of where they plan to go, right? Because you got the Crimson Guard leaders, Tomax and Zaymot. Baroness is a natural fit with anything. And they lead the Crimson Guards. So to me, this is kind of a no-brainer repaint. And again, it harkens back to a convention set they had in the 2000s. So I don't know about you, but I think it looks great. Again, I haven't planned to get it yet. And, I'm just going to stop sharing screens right now because I kind of feel like the more I work my low RAM computer, the more it kind of says screw you to Ken. I'm going to try to pull up on my camera here from yojo.com 2002 convention set so that you can see it and see exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how well this image is going to come up, but this is what they call the Crimson Strike Team. You can see the images right there. You see the twins on the bottom and you see Baroness at the top. And you see some Vipers around them, right? That's what this set is based off of largely. So yeah, it came with 12 Vipers. It's a 15-piece set. It's an expensive set. So that was basically what I had to talk about as far as reveals are concerned. A lot of you in the comments have been very insightful about what you plan to get, what you plan to pass on, what your thoughts are, if there's something you liked or didn't like. Oh, Jay. Yeah, there was a modern set as well. Yeah, I was talking about the 2002 one, but you're right. They may have done one in the 4-inch scale that wasn't the O-ring 3.75 scale. And yeah, see, I collect a bunch of other lines, so the fact it's getting expensive real quick tells me that, well, I don't know. In my case, I just say play the violin while I buy stuff, right, and whine about the price. I think a Blue Baroness is on the way. I think that makes sense. And yeah, obviously they make sense. And that it's a great look for the Crimson Twins. I mean, they're called the Crimson Twins for a reason, right? So really, 6 different hands. That's quite the set if that's what they do for him. Unsure if there's a muzzle. Who knows at this point in time? But yeah, if anybody has anything else to add in the chat, let me know. But I just wanted to quickly run this down and just give everybody the opportunity to react, comment. I know a lot of reactions have already been out there, and like I said, I just wanted to get my 2 cents in, just because, you know, I'm in on a bunch of this stuff, right? Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, like I am gonna get Mutt and Junkyard, General Hawk, Shockwave, both of the Dreadnoks that were shown, Clutch and the Vamp, the Steel Core. Already pre-ordered Chuckles, Tripwire. I'm leaning more and more, but I'm still trying to convince myself not to, and then come back and convince myself that I will. The other stuff will be if I walk by a booth and at a toy show or see it at a toy store. I don't know. And yeah, I mentioned them earlier in case you joined late. Yeah, I did talk about them earlier. I'm very excited for them. Gaz, you said, yeah, we talked when you were just kind of bowing out of classified. And I know you said you're still gonna do it selectively here and there, like for Shockwave. But yeah, there's your last sentence there. Sometimes I pull, like I did earlier, sometimes I pull these up before reading the comments. Shockwave and Hawk are a must-have for you. They're a must-have for me as well. And yeah, makes your wallet happy. A lot of us feel that way, right? Space, money, time, and for me, brain power. Right now, when they carpet bomb us, and that's the title of the stream, carpet bomb, with a lot of releases, it gets you excited, you buy, and then they kind of go out of sight, out of mind until they come in. Then you're like, oh, I forgot that. I was looking forward to something else, right? That's kind of what it's become. Yeah. Hello, Mayumi. Thank you for joining. Iron Grenadiers and Wild Weasel. I am getting a Wild Weasel type of figure as part of the RoboSkull Mark II, because they are doing a 6-inch Weasel, a character they've just called Weasel, just because some of the vintage RoboSkulls did come with a Wild Weasel figure. So that's why. So that'll cover my Wild Weasel gap in my collection. Though that being said, there's always the chance to get a classified one, a good chance. And Iron Grenadiers, to me, oh, I can't wait for those. Yeah, the next HasLab is likely to be a Cobra one, because they've gone Joe, Cobra, then Joe again. So the next one's probably a Cobra. Randall, probably get most of the Joes. Not much into army building for Cobra, and you got some Transformer Studio, Magnus, Ratchet, I think you meant to say, and Frenzy. Yeah. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Kind of out of breath here. Kind of need to get me some dinner, re-energize, and close off my day. One thing I will do that I often forget to do is shout out my Patreon supporters and channel members. Some of you are in the chat. For those who do support, like Robert Monty, you just commented, Patreon supporter. I do give some bonus content on Patreon. You do get early access as well. I do some behind the scenes episodes that are kind of like a TKO After Dark. Those are shorter episodes that are usually like 20 to 40 minutes long. Sometimes a bit longer, sometimes a bit shorter. So I do those maybe 1 to 2 times a month. So feel free to check out the Patreon, and quit after a couple of months if you find you don't enjoy it. But I do want to shout out the Patreon supporters and channel members whose names are in the description below. I don't flash up an image just because sometimes that list changes. So depending who drops out and who joins. And yeah, absolutely, the Joe team are 100% killing it. It just feels like 3 years ago we had nothing for G.I. Joe, and now we're spoiled for G.I. Joe. And that's just something to be happy about. That's just something that gets you thinking, God damn. History of 1984. That's a good question. You're probably asking because you might have seen my history of 82 that I did with Chad last year, and the history of 83 that I did with Hans Chow as part of Cobra Convergence. I do want to do 84. When I mentioned that I did a collaboration with Wilhelm Toy and Hobby earlier, it's because we just finished History of Transformers 86, and I've just put that in the queue. And by the queue, I mean I don't necessarily release my videos as soon as they're done. I get them done to clear them off the backlog and put them into the queue so that I have something to release in coming weeks. So because I just finished that, I do want to film History of G.I. Joe 84. The thing about those, though, is those series that take a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of photography, and there's a lot of characters to cover. I do have to make sure that I've got the energy for it. So because I just finished History of G.I. Joe 86, which you couldn't have known that I was doing, because you and I didn't talk about that, Ryan. I'm not chomping to do history of 84 GI Joe just yet. Now, do I change my mind in a few days or a few weeks or a month and a half? I don't know, right? But that is something that is going to happen on this channel. Let's put it that way, if that answers your question, right? Yeah, version 1 with Missile Command, that'd be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, if anyone's got any follow-up questions or final comments in the chat, go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to cut this off pretty soon and grab me some grub to eat and round out the weekend here. I think a lot of people are probably still on the way back from San Diego Comic-Con. A lot of people are still catching up on their watch lists and playlists. I know throughout the weekend, the Toy Tubers Unite panel, who were there between Toy Anxiety, Geek Dad Life, Pixel Dan, and Mad Hatter were all, I'm not sure if Toying Around, he was on the panel, but I'm not sure how much content he put up this week. I know they've been putting up stuff around the clock. I know a lot of us have been reacting to it. This is my first reaction stream to anything. Because like I said, it's not really my main thing I do on this channel, but it's hard. You can't help it when there's this much stuff that's coming out, especially for one of the toy lines that I just love and just feel compelled to collect all the time. It's hard not to do a reaction stream to it, but that's more or less covers what I wanted to discuss as far as the stream is concerned. But anyway, hopefully for those of you who catch this on the replay, hopefully this is just as fun for you. I had a lot of fun just going over it and looking at the photos and going, yeah, G.I. Joe is more than back. They're back, and as people are saying, they're killing it. So stay tuned for my Joe Colton video that's coming out in the week on Friday this week. It's called Joe Colton's Story of the First G.I. Joe and ties back to the evolution. It's part of my Evolution of Toys series and also part of my Toy History series that tracks the history of the original G.I. Joe from 1964 until Joe Colton came into the line in 1994 and was retroactively called the first G.I. Joe. So he was an action soldier. He was a Green Beret, and I looked at him in the 2000s as well. It's about a 12-minute video that me and Toy Domination put together. So look for that. Otherwise, thanks to everyone who joined, everyone who tuned in. Yeah, keep having fun. Keep loving your G.I. Joe. And I guess I'll just leave you with Yo Joe, known as half the battle. And I'll see y'all next time. Thanks again, and take care.